talking about the Titans here. The Titans.
Swing and a drive, left field. It's good. And it's gone. It is Bedlam at the bank.
The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Podcast right here. You already know. Go fucking subscribe. Go follow.
You are now listening to the 302 Birds Phillies postgame show with Eric, Brendan, Dalt, and Ballpark Tommy. Proudly powered by TickPick. Check out the link in the bio for $10 off your first order today. Let's take it to the show.
What is up, everybody? Hope you've been enjoying the week off. Stress-free. Phillies baseball. Didn't have to worry about this team this week. Sat back, watched some wild card games to see who we were playing. I personally was really, really rooting for the Brewers, but I don't know. It just seems like it wasn't in the cards for the Brewers this year. And you know, like we all watched, Pete Alonso hit a 3-run bomb yesterday and won the game, and now we're playing the Mets tomorrow. So we'll get into all that later. That'll be towards the end of the show. We just figured we've been talking this week. We kind of wanted to do a longer show tonight. We got a couple of guests on, some returning guests that haven't been on here in a while. But we were talking, we wanted to do a little bit of an award show, talk about our picks for certain categories who we think, you know, might have done the best in certain things this year, might have been a bust. So yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to debate, and we'll see what happens. But we got Gavin Sweeney joining us. We got James Fratoni on the mic, and we got Sam Nelson joining us, a returning guest, hasn't been here in a while. And then Dalt, he's getting food right now. He's probably, you know, scarfing down some food, but he'll be joining us here in a few minutes. But how's everybody feeling? How has everybody spent this off week? What are you guys feeling about the Mets tomorrow?
I'm going to ask, are you guys ready?
Absolutely.
As I am. Because I'll tell you just one quick thing. Tomorrow at 4:08, I'm taking my 5-0 postseason record down to the ballpark. And I'm going to make it a 6.
Oh, nice.
I've been to Game 3, 2022 against the Braves, the Reese Hoskins game. Game 4 of that NLCS against the Padres, which is when they put up the 10th spot. Game 3 last year, which was the Arcia stare down. By the way, attaboy Arcia. Enjoy the couch, buddy. And I was also at Game 1 against the Marlins in the wild card round, and I was at Game 2 of the NLCS.
That's awesome.
So I'm carrying an undefeated streak into tomorrow. Let's go.
Hey, man, you're a good luck charm tomorrow. But if things go south, knock on wood, I know who to blame.
Then I don't know any of you.
James, how we feeling, man? How we feeling about this off week? I know you work at the bank, so have you been working and seeing like behind the scenes of them practicing and shit?
No, I haven't been there lately. I haven't been there at all. I don't work there when they're practicing, when there's no fans. I only work when there's fans.
That would have been cool.
When there's fans there, but unfortunately, I can only see the things that go on online until tomorrow. So I'm going to be there tomorrow at 11:30 in the morning. I'll be there about when everybody's tailgating. I'll be inside. So
that's cool.
I'll be there about 11:30 in the morning, and maybe I'll be able to run into you, Sam. Who knows?
Awesome.
I'll come find you.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I cannot wait for tomorrow, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be
it's gonna be something, man. It's gonna be electric. Hey, by the way, before we get started with this award show, let me say something real quick. for any Phillies fans watching this, if you're a season ticket holder or you have tickets right now, right? And Mets fans, if you're watching this, you guys can clown me all you want. But Phillies fans, if you're watching this, right, and you're thinking about selling your ticket, you are the fakest fan ever. Do not sell your tickets to Mets fans. If you have a friend who is a Mets fan and they ask you and they say, hey, can I buy a ticket from you? You tell them hell no.
Preach.
Tell them no. We are not, and I'm knocking on wood hard for this, we are not letting those stinky, nasty, dirty Mets fans into CBP. Now, I understand that, when the Knicks played the Sixers, the New York fans came down and they took over. But we as Philly fans, we don't really care about the Sixers. The Sixers are kind of bums, right? They're bums. Baseball is where it's at. Baseball is what drives the city. And I'm expecting some Mets fans, don't get me wrong, but I am expecting a full red October tomorrow. I'm expecting them to get those rally towels out, and I'm expecting a sea of red. I do not want to see Grimace, OMG, Pumpkins. What else are like the Mets doing right now? I don't want to see any of it. But Gavin, I didn't mean to cut you off. How you feeling about
Good, man.
How you feeling about
I'm feeling really confident playing the Mets. I mean, if you look at it, yeah, we were 7-6 against them in the regular season, but 3 of the starts were Taiwan Walker. So do they really count? No, no, absolutely not. So I'm feeling confident. I mean, this week has been kind of boring because I'm used to watching the Phils almost every day. But I'm glad they got their rest. They deserve the second seed. They deserve, being crowned NL East winners. So hopefully we can just live up to the expectations, and hopefully the bats are alive and we absolutely destroy the Mets.
Right. And we're gonna talk about all this later. This is gonna probably be a longer show, so if you want to sit back, grab your snacks, join us for a while, we'd appreciate having you. But we're gonna get started with some of these categories and some of these awards. I'm gonna talk about the first one. I'm not gonna say my pick first. I'll probably go maybe last. I want everybody else to, say their takes. But here's how we're going to do it. For those of you watching, we're going to give a category. We're all going to go through who our pick for that category is. And then in the comments, just tell us who you agree with. Who do you agree with? Who do you pick? What player do you pick? And we'll go from there. And after reading the comments, we'll see, what player gets mentioned the most, and that's who will win our award. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about, the first one, best starter, best starting pitcher. Who wants to take this first?
I'll start
Everyone
it.
is like,
I guess.
pick.
I guess I'll start this. I don't see how the answer is anybody but Zach Wheeler. No offense to the other 3. Ranger was great early. Clearly, he's been having his struggles since coming off the IL in the second half. I think that a lot of that has to do with all the innings he's thrown. Aaron Nola, despite him going 6 innings every day, giving up 2 solo home runs a game, that's just who he is. He was still very, very consistent throughout the year. Christopher Sanchez was utterly amazing and a bright spot in a situation where didn't know what to expect from him coming into the season. But the best starting pitcher on the team is Zach Wheeler. I mean, he's going to go down as one of the best Phillies free agent signings of all time. Consistent every night. 6+ innings, and I forget how many straight starts, which is like a Phillies record. And that's comparing teams that had Cole Hamels, Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay. Like, Zach Wheeler, without a doubt, is the best starting pitcher on this team. There's not really a debate about it in my eyes. So I'm going to go with Zach Wheeler.
Okay. All right. James, you want to go next?
For myself, I agree with Sam. There is no doubt in my mind that Zach Wheeler is by far the best starter, and it's maybe I wouldn't even say it's even close because Zach Wheeler has this upside about him that is unreal. He is one of our more consistent Philly starters in the past few seasons. He is unreal, and he is a deserving candidate for the Cy Young Award this year in the National League.
My ace does not duck. Hey, Chris Sale, my
Mid.
ace does not duck.
Overrated.
But
Old,
yeah,
retire.
getting back to what I was saying, he is one of the Cy Young candidates. That's why I think he's the best starter, aka wheeling and dealing. This man has the wheels about him, and he's going to continue it going into tomorrow. And he's just gonna cruise like a Hot Wheel car going down the speedway. Going into tomorrow, so he's gonna keep that. Stuff going day in, day out. That's pretty much it.
Okay. I mean, I think we all know who's gonna win this. But Gavin, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with James and Sam over here. It's Mr. Zach Wheeler, and let me just read you some of these stats of Wheeler this season of why he's the best starter and arguably the best starter in the whole NL. Okay, so he pitched over 200 innings. Okay, he had on the dot 200 innings. His ERA was a 2.57, one of the best. His WAR was 6.1, one of the best. Strikeouts 224 is insane. His WHIP was 0.96. That's first in the NL. His QS is 26, first in the NL. His average against hitters was 0.192, first in the NL. His OBP, 0.253, first in the NL. OPS, 0.581, first in the NL. And with OBA was a 0.256. That's also the first in the NL. And, I mean, he's been dominant all season. I mean, like Sam said, he's consistent every start. He never disappoints. He's always a guy you can rely on in the postseason, in the regular season, at any time. He's a really dominant pitcher. And honestly, he will probably go into the Hall of Fame one day, hopefully.
Yeah, I could see it. I can see him going into Hall of Fame, Ashburn Alley, one of the two. I'm personally so I mean, obviously it's Wheeler. You guys said everything I was gonna say. But I'm on the fence, and the only reason I'm on the fence is like excuse me, if we're talking about a best starter, like I don't know. There's something in the back of my mind that's nagging me saying, say Sanchez. And like obviously Sanchez is not a Cy Young winner, but like if we had to just choose a starter who like came out of nowhere and was just very surprising, I'm gonna go with Sanchez, and I'm really excited that he got the game to start on Sunday, just because like and even Rob said this, his home versus road splits speak for themselves, and I think he's gonna eat up the atmosphere on Sunday, just in Red October. But I think with that being said, I think the winner of this category is going to be Zach Wheeler. But going into our second category, our second topic, we're going to be a little bit of some bummers right now. It's going to be bust of the year, and I'm going to take this first. A lot of you are probably thinking to yourselves that, this is an easy category to pick, but I might throw a curveball in here. The biggest bust of the year. Personally, I think if we had to narrow it down to my top 3 busts of the year, obviously number 1 is going to be Taijuan Walker. I just I don't understand, why Rob pitched him as much as he did. I feel like if you did not pitch Taijuan Walker, we would have had a season above 100 wins. We would have. It's guaranteed. We had 90. We were like 95 and 60 something, I believe. If you didn't pitch Taijuan Walker, you would have had a 100 or more win season guaranteed. I think Spencer Turnbull, I think he was a bust. And, the only reason I say that is that he pitched midsummer and we haven't seen him since. And I think that's a bust. I could arguably say Austin Hayes was a bust. I mean, we traded for him and he just has not lived up to the hype that we traded him for. And then Whit Merrifield, like beginning of the season, he said he wanted to come in. He wanted to win. He wanted to help win any way he can. And he was terrible. And then, you go to the Braves and you're playing every day and you're great. Granted, the Braves got dog walked, but I think for this category, for me, it's personally Taijuan Walker. I really hope in the offseason that they bite the contract, they get rid of him. If I see Taijuan Walker's name on the postseason roster tomorrow, I am literally going to scream because there is no reason why he should be on the roster. No reason. Be it as it may, do it like last year. Don't put him on the roster. He can go on Twitter, on social media, and cry like a little crybaby like he did last year. Sorry, bud. Like, you were absolutely terrible. You were so bad this season. You could not hit the broadside of a barn if you tried. We'll go backwards this time. We'll go Gavin next, but that's really all I got to say.
All right. So I agree with Shard a lot with the Walker situation, the Hayes, the Merrifield, all of that. But in my opinion, I think the bust of the year was Jose Alvarado. Okay? Because
I didn't even think about that.
This guy, so let's just go back. Okay? Last season, okay, his ERA was a 1.74. That's great. Great ERA. He gave up 30 hits, 15 runs, only 3 home runs, and only walked 18 batters. And he had 64 Ks, and his whip was a 1.16. All right, so that's a great season for him last year. This season, his ERA was a 4.09, huge jump. He pitched 61.2 innings, had 63 Ks, so one less from last year, and his ERA is way higher. His whip was a 1.25 higher. He gave up 6 home runs, higher, 49 hits, higher, 30 runs, higher. He walked 28 batters, way higher. So I just think that Alvarado is the bust of the year. And if you just think about it, like, Alvarado to us is like this closer who's, your lockdown closer, like he'll get the job done. But this season, he's not been a closer at all. I mean, there was a point this season that we were all concerned when he would come in the game because he would give up at least 2 to 3 runs. So in my opinion, I think that Jose Alvarado is the bust of the year because of his stats this year.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't even think about that, honestly. I agree with you there. It's kind of throw fast, throw hard, and hope for the best. Frowdy, we'll go you next, man. Who do you got for bust of the year?
Bust of the year. I didn't even have to think about this one. My bust of the year is Taijuan Walker. I mean, talk about a man who should be flipping burgers at a Wendy's joint with Kenny Pickett. This dude has really made Phillies fans like Shard pull out the SpongeBob meme and shout loser. This dude has really cares less about the city of Philly. That I'd rather have Jamie Moyer back as our 5th option than that man. Than that man. He is that bad. So walk like that song Hit the Road Jack. Do not come back to Philly next season. I meant to say not this season, next season. So Taijuan Walker should not come back to Philly. He should just hit the road, Jack. And I'm sorry if I had to mention Jack's name because Jack Duran, that's where I got that song from. So Taijuan Walker should hit the road, Jack. He shouldn't come back no more next season. His ERA was horrible, horrendous, one of the worst I've ever seen. And I gotta say, when I think of biggest bust, if I had to think of other Phillies busts, and not including this season, Shard, You know, and I'm going way back. If this player was still on the team and it was this season, and I'm talking about a player from years ago. I would say Michael Martinez. You guys remember Michael Martinez? He was horrible. And also, nobody mentioned this name for Bust of the Year. Yeah, Connor. If I had to pick a second one, this name just popped up on my mind. Connor Brogdon would have popped up. He
Was
pitched
he
in that
even
one
on the
game.
team? Was he on the team this
He
year?
pitched like
Yeah,
2 games and he
yeah.
went to the Dodgers then.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. He was on the team this year.
He would have been my second consideration because he hardly didn't even pitch this year. So if we win the World Series, that man somehow deserves a ring for messing up so bad.
He gets a ring.
That's
Stan,
funny.
who do you got, man?
Well, first of all, I'm not over the fact that Fratty had to remind me about Michael freaking Martinez, by the way. So, Fratty, thank you for making me relive those days. So, now, this isn't a complete bust of the year for me. It was hard to find one if you look at the everyday product of the teams. And yes, the Taiwan Walkers, easy pick, Whit Merrifield, guys like that, yes. I wouldn't say this guy was a bust this year, but in one aspect he was. And I'm going to say my bust of the year, it has a little to do with Bryson Stott. Now, hear me out. Still one of the best fielding second basemen in baseball. It's not even close. At the plate, though, last year I saw Bryson Stott, 280 batting average. I believe he had, a 16 or a 18-game hitting streak last year. Had some of the best at-bats in baseball, was grinding out at-bats every night, 5, 6, 7 pitches. This year, Bryson Stott to me at the plate seemed a little more homer happy. Seemed like he was trying to drive the ball out of the ballpark more, and that cost him his batting average to dip from 280 last year to 245. And I felt like there was a lot more overswinging and not more working the counts and driving the ball to the opposite field. Bryson Stott is almost like most of the guys on this team are good when they're hitting the ball to all fields. And Bryson Stott this year seemed like he was more pull happy, wasn't using the whole field. And when your batting average drops from 280 to 245, that's a little bit of a disappointing year. So I'm gonna go with Bryson Stott strictly because I know he can be better at the plate than what he has shown us this year. And to get where this team wants to go for the next month, he has to be better at the plate.
I agree. I can also say, personally, Brandon Marsh could be a bust too. His strikeout rate towards the end of the year was, it was above 50%.
Gregory,
he's never seen a high fastball he doesn't like.
Never forget Gregory Soto this season.
No. Let's not. Do not put that man's name on this team. I don't want to hear about him. If I hear Gregory Soto again, I may jump out the window.
The shame.
Gregory Soto could be. He could be a bust too. But overall, main season, and Dalt's joining us now, but I'm sure he's going to agree with our take here. Overall, main bust, I gotta say, is Taiwan Walker. I think we're all in agreement. It's Taiwan Walker. I think he's the biggest bust, and I think this all season you gotta move on. You gotta move on. You can't keep him. I don't know if Tanner's gonna be ready by next season. I really don't. But either this all season look for a guy, or I don't want to go this route, but maybe start doing what you did start doing what you did mid-season where you rotated through guys to see who could fit that spot. I still think Tyler Phillips should have a shot. I do.
Real quickly, let me just throw this in there. When it comes to starting pitching, I personally think, first of all, Taiwan Walker will be gone. They are not afraid to move off of veterans with money left on their deals. They did it in 2022 with Didi, so Stock could play every day. They did it with Merrifield. They don't care about the money. They will move on from Taiwan Walker faster than we can down a Philly cheesesteak. Trust me, that's going to happen. The starting pitching thing, I personally believe they will be in the market this winter for another possible frontline starter. Here's why, really quick. Walker's going to be gone. They're not going to want to rush Painter back. The other thing that really hurts them is that Mick Abel and Griff McGarry have not developed to the point where they want them to be. So I personally think they are going to look for another front-tier starter because another thing, I still find it funny that Christopher Sanchez got an extension before Ranger Suarez. I find that very funny. I don't know if that means something, but I still think they're going to add a starting pitcher in the winter, and I think it's going to be a more of a front end guy that you could say, okay, we can put that individual behind Wheeler Nola. Just an example. I don't want this guy, Max Fried. That's the type of guy, the type of frontline guy I think they may look for, so they can have a guaranteed 3. I'm not saying it's going to be Max Fried, but I just still find it weird that Sanchez, a guy who's had a really good year, but he got the in-season extension and Ranger didn't. I think they are concerned about Ranger, and if this innings thing is going to be a long-term concern, because if he's going to flame out at the end of this year because he's throwing 150 innings, well, Zach's throwing 200 and throwing 97 into September. You're going to have to eventually work your way through that.
Right. I mean, they were ready to give Yamamoto a crap ton of money too before he went to the Dodgers. So I
exactly
completely see your point. Gavin, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was going to say either Fried or Shane Bieber. Those could be two underrated targets the Phillies go for this.
But is Fried really going to want to go to a division rival? That's my thing.
Well,
I like Bieber.
Well, I mean, Max Fried can't beat the Phillies, so if you can't beat them, why not join them? You can't beat this team.
Juan Soto this season.
Also, I actually think Shane Bieber's more realistic because personally, I don't know if the Phillies would carry 3 lefties in the rotation.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking.
Usually, a rotation is 3 righties, 2 lefties, and I don't think they may want to go. And also, I use Max Fried as an example. That's not my top target. Max Fried has been okay this year, but he's not been the Max Fried I'm used to seeing. Like, just look what the Padres did to him. He's not been the best Max Fried he's been in his career. I just think they're not going to sign another Taijuan Walker. We're not going to overpay for a number 4 starter to be a 5. They're going to go, if they're going to get someone, it's going to be somebody that they can put in as their number 3. They're going to go for another top line guy.
The Biebs.
Bieber fever.
So next, I guess topic, award, whatever you want to call it, that we're going to do. We got this one, and then we got a couple more after. Mr. Reliable. This is somebody that can come out of the bullpen that, we don't have to worry about, that can eat up innings if they need to, that can, if bases are loaded, he's coming in and he's shutting it all down. And for me personally, I think he's not only had a major improvement since being called up last year, I think he's been reliable, and I'm surprised he did not get an all-star appearance this year. I really am. But I'm going to go Ryan Gerkering. I really think the kid has been, lights out since he pitched this season. Looking at his stat line, his overall stats, he's been dominant. I'm trying to pull it up here because I did not have it ready. But looking at his regular season, I mean, he went 5-3 on the season, pitched in 64 games, 2.29 ERA, 2 games saved, 63 innings pitched, 74 strikeouts, whip of 1.08. So one of the lowest whips out of the bullpen. I think it's Orion for me personally. I think he's been reliable. I feel like anytime Orion's in this season, he's been dominant. And I'm really, really excited to see what they do with him. Because, I mean, he's only 23. He's, a young bullpen arm. He could honestly develop into a starter if you really wanted to try to. If you really wanted to try, you could develop him into a starter. Now, they did that with Strahm last year. Didn't really work out. Strahm's better in the bullpen. So maybe just keep Orion in the bullpen. But if you really wanted to try, develop Orion. See what he can do. Let him pitch in spring training and see what he can do. But for me, it's Orion. Dolt, since you're joining us, you're going next.
Cool, no worries. Hey, thank you guys for having me. First off, I want to say to both our guests, thank you guys for joining on, Sam Nelson and Gavin Sweeney. Please make sure to follow both them and what they do. Love those guys. Great to see you guys again. Second off, to our regulars, Shardy and Fratty, thank you guys for what you do. Super happy to be here, and this show is an awesome idea. So, who I had for this? I had the guy from Wilmington, Delaware on my list. I had Matt Strahm. So, like Shard just alluded to, coming out of the bullpen this year, I thought that Strahm was put in some shitty situations this year, and he figured out how to deal with it. And he also had a pretty good ERA with 1.87. So I thought Matt Strahm took a big step up this year, and especially in the beginning of the year, really in the beginning of the year. And I know that's easy to say for most of the Phillies team with the way that this year went, because the beginning of this year was magical. Hopefully the end of the year is too, knock on wood. But I do have Matt Strahm down for this guy. I just thought he was, like I said, Mr. Reliable in every Phillies game I watched. Every time Matt Strahm was out there, I think one exception, he was brilliant. So Matt Strahm.
You know Strahm's from North Dakota, right?
Yeah, but he played for the Blue Rocks is why I joke about it. That's why, yeah. So I found that out this year. And when KJ told me that, I was like, what? And now I want to get his Blue Rocks jersey just because he played up the street.
Oh, yeah, he did. He just had really short hair.
Oh, I haven't even seen the pictures yet, so I'm going to have to look them up. That sounds interesting.
I did not even
Isn't
know
that crazy? Yeah, so
I
KJ told me that. I didn't know that either until this year, and KJ was like, he's a Blue Rock, right? And I was like, what? And I looked it up, and I was like, holy shit. So, yeah, former Blue Rock, Matt Strahm. If you're ever watching, come on the show. Come talk to Shard and Fratty. There you go.
Hold on.
I don't ever want to see Matt Strahm with short hair, first of all. I don't want to see that.
I'm serious.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Dude, he looks like a teenager.
No.
Wow,
That is left-handed Tim Lincecum. If anyone knows that is left-handed Tim Lincecum. That is exactly who that looks like.
Yeah, I didn't know he played for the Blue Rocks. But
isn't that crazy? Yeah.
The Blue Rocks used to be owned, which I don't think they're owned by anymore. They used to be owned by the Royals. I don't know who they're a AAA affiliate of now. It might still be the Royals.
I think you're right. I'll have to look it up.
But
it's either Royals or the Nationals, I think.
But James, we'll hand it off to you next, man. Who do you got for Mr. Reliable? And I'm putting it on myself. I did not mean to.
Mr. Reliable for pitch. I guess it's for pitcher.
For pitcher, for player, whatever you want to do, man. Who do you think is reliable?
Actually, for Mr. Reliable, I didn't have a pitcher. I put down Mr. Reliable is Nick Castellanos himself because
I love that.
When you needed him to play, he was very reliable. He did not miss a game this season. And when we needed the big hit, he would come through. That's what I like about him. He always is willing to put in the grind when needed, even during the tough times. He would always just keep on grinding. The one time he got hurt versus the Jays, and I remember that game was back in September, early September. He got hurt and he had to get taken out of the game. Pretty much the next day, he came back and played for that day game. The next day, that's why he deserves this award. So he's pretty much, and I'll say one thing here. MLB needs to start giving awards for players that play in every single game. I'm not sure if they do that or not. If they don't, they should start giving awards to players who play every single game of the season, because there's not many players out there anymore. Outside of NFL, and NFL it's easy to play 16, 17 games in NFL season most of the time, since it's a short season. But a lot of players been getting hurt there. But I'll say this one thing: there's not many players between the NBA, NHL, and MLB that play in every single game. Not even Joel Embiid in a season that is half of what Major League Baseball is. Half of what he can't even make. He can't even play 70 games most seasons.
Damn, Fratty, way to throw Embiid under the bus in your Phillies take,
and
bro.
he's supposed to be an MVP, and he can't even play in every single game, and he's on load management. So Nick Castellanos just did something this season, that Joel Embiid could not do. Is literally playing every single game, which is remarkable. And I'll tell you one thing: this dude is going to have a postseason for the Phillies unlike any other. And I just think a lot of Phillies are gonna they're really gonna have a big postseason. I'll get more into it later, but that's pretty much my piece on Castellanos for this season.
Gotcha. Gavin, who do you got, man?
I'm gonna have to agree with Dalt here. I mean, I think it's Mastrom personally. I mean, Dalt, read his ERA and everything, but also going back, his win percentage was .750, which is amazing. His WHIP was 0.75. Innings pitched 62.2, had 79 Ks, only walked 11 batters, only gave up 36 hits, and he appeared in 66 games. And what really did it for me with Mastrom was watching the Ohtani at bat. When we played the Dodgers, he, for some reason, just owned Ohtani. Like, his breaking balls, bro, Ohtani would just swing out of the zone. And Ohtani's arguably the best hitter in baseball. So once I saw Strom just completely own Ohtani and the Dodgers, that just did it for me. That Strom gets that award.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I think Strom definitely deserves it solely for that reason. By the way, the Wilmington Blue Rocks, they got bought out by the Nationals. They're a high A affiliate. So, Sam, who do you got for Mr. Reliable? Pitcher, player, water boy, bat boy?
Well, first of all, one day when I'm talking with Fratty, I want to know what did Joel Embiid do to him in a past life, but we'll get to that another day. My Mr. Reliable, no disrespect, all the love to Matt Strom. He's been a terrific signing since they signed him last offseason. But I'm going to go with his right-handed running mate, Jeff Hoffman. If anyone wants a little quick backstory, Jeff Hoffman wasn't even in baseball to start the spring training of 2023. The Phillies found him because of Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper went down to Florida to continue rehab swinging, and they needed a pitcher to throw to him. Harper told the team to come down and send someone to watch Jeff Hoffman throw to him. Short story, Jeff Hoffman's been one of the best relief pitchers in late innings for this Phillies team over the past 2 seasons. This year, before the Phillies made the trades at the deadline to acquire Tanner Banks and Carlos Estevez, the back end of the bullpen was in flux. Alvarado, like we've all said, ERA was inflamed this year compared to last year. Alvarado was struggling. The back end of the bullpen was in shambles. Matt Strom and Jeff Hoffman survived it, along with Kerkering. Jeff Hoffman had 10 saves this year during that time. He had, I believe, like 7 to 8 of his saves came before the Estevez trade. He shut down the main parts of the back end of that bullpen, whether it was the 8th inning or the 9th inning. Just this year alone, Hoffman threw 66 in the third, while striking out 89 hitters. He had a 2.17 ERA and a 0.96 WHIP. He only walked 15 hitters in 66 in the third innings and only allowed 20 runs on the season. They are not anywhere in this position without Matt Strom or Jeff Hoffman. But Jeff Hoffman, the fact that he was the setup man, had to kind of be the emergency closer. I kind of look at it as 2009 with Ryan Madson. Brad Lidge in 08, tremendous. Brad Lidge in 09, he had 11 blown saves, and Ryan Madson was able to be that 8th inning guy. And if you needed to have a fireman closer, as I call it, someone who needs to put a fire out because your closer's struggling, Ryan Madson did it. That's who I compare Jeff Hoffman to. He's basically the Ryan Madson of this team. And Phillies, for those 5 years, didn't get anywhere without Ryan Madson. And the Phillies wouldn't be in the situation they are in right now. They didn't have Jeff Hoffman, who, in my opinion, is A, one of the best setup men in baseball, and B, Dave Dombrowski better get ready to fork over some Fazools too, because I do not want Jeff Hoffman leaving this team after this year. So my Mr. Reliable, the Hawkster.
Okay. Is there anybody that didn't go? Everybody went, right?
Yeah.
I think personally, I can't really give this award, quote unquote. We're not really giving awards, but you guys know what I mean. I think there's just a lot of people that have been reliable this year, and I think honestly that's what's going to carry us into the postseason and achieve our goals this year. I just think there's been a lot of reliable guys that we can count on, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen this postseason. Next one we're going to talk about. We might not do all of these just for sake of time, but we'll see. Next one we're going to talk about most improved. Who do we think has been most improved this season? Who has improved the most from last season? And for me personally, I mean, I know he's not the best. I know he's not terrible either. I'm going to go Johan Rojas. And I'm only saying that because I know he didn't really play that much at the end of last year. I know he's kind of a liability at the plate. But when he can really lock in at the plate, whether it's bunting or hitting, he's really reliable. And he's had a really good batting average the second half of the season. He's had some RBIs, he's had some runs. I think he's been the most improved personally. I feel like Stott and Marsh have both gone down. I could also arguably say Bohm. I could say Bohm is the most improved from last season too. I think, with him going to the home run derby, almost winning it, I think he's just, with him almost being the RBI king, I think he's improved as well. But for me personally, I think Johan Rojas. Whoever wants to take it next, feel free. I'm not taking.
I'll go ahead. I'll just be quick. It's got to be it. I'm sure somebody else is going to say it, and I'll let them get into it later. But pitching-wise, Christopher Sanchez, I mean, on the team, just the leap that he's really taken this year. I mean, I'm going to speak from the gut when it comes to the Phillies. But he really just has kind of found a command of his ball. He looks like a veteran, and he looks more confident out there for the Phillies. And when Christopher Sanchez's name is called, I'll tell you what, I hear a lot more of a difference in the fans, and I see a lot more Sanchez jerseys this year than I did last year. So, I mean, I think he had, what was it, one complete game, 2 shutout games, was it?
Around there.
Yeah, something like that. And I may be off on that. I apologize. But the dude just really has looked confident this year. And when he's out there as well, the team looks confident. And there's something to be said for that in this sport of baseball. So really proud of Christopher Sanchez this year and what he's done. That's my guy.
Okay. Who wants to take it next?
I'll go next. Or Sam. Or everyone raised their hand. I was only going to say I was going to go next because I was going to agree with Dalt, but if someone else wants to take.
I'll take a shot at this. And I agree personally with some of the points that Dalt made. Christopher Sanchez turned from a fringe 4th or 5th starter to a guy they trust to pitch game 2 against the Mets in the NLDS.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how much of an improvement he's made. I have someone different, but I just want to say that Christopher Sanchez deserves this to be the most improved without a doubt. I have someone different. Mine is a hitter. I know when we talk about most improved, you think the young guys, Rojas, like Shard said, Dalt, you went Sanchez, you could Stott and Marsh, even though they both kind of haven't had the greatest years offensively. You think of young guys. Kirkering's another guy that can be most improved. But can we talk about the turnaround from year 1 to year 2 for Trey Turner?
Mm-hmm.
Trey Turner last year, and we all know, pretty sure we all know that Netflix thing that's coming out about him. I can't wait to see it. Trey Turner clearly was going through something to begin last year. Trey Turner, damn near every year, is averaging a 285 to a 300 batting average. First year last year, hit 266. He was hitting like 240 into late July. This year, now granted, he did miss 6 weeks with that hamstring injury, so some numbers are down. Only 121 games played. Somehow, only played in 121 this year, played 155 last year. Only hit 5 less home runs this year, had 21. Last year he had 26. Then he also was close in RBIs. Last year he had 76. This year he had 62. But this year he hit 295, and he just looked more comfortable. Not just in the field. In the field, he is what he is. He's going to make some mistakes. Welcome to baseball. Everyone does. But did he not just look more comfortable with the team in general? He looked like the Trey Turner that I saw with the Nationals when I hated him, and the Dodgers when I also hated him because I hate the Dodgers. But he just looked like the different Trey Turner. He looked more confident. He looked more like he was part of the team. And of course, there was added pressure on. He was the $300 million shortstop that was being signed to put the Phillies from, okay, we were a Cinderella team in the World Series. Now we want to get back there. I'm sure there was added pressure to him for that, which I think, and clearly when that Netflix thing comes out, he was battling some mental health things going on with that. Breaking news. Just because you're a $300 million athlete doesn't mean that you don't go through things. So my most improved, because of how comfortable he looked with the team, how much better he was at the plate, he put his game back to where I know he can bring it. My most improved, I'm going to give it to Trey Turner.
Okay. All right. Gavin, who do you got, man?
All right. So first of all, Sam, I love your Trey Turner pick, by the way. That was an underrated pick. I wasn't even thinking that. But that was a great pick. Anyway, I'm gonna have to agree with the dog here on Mr. Christopher Sanchez. If you look at his stats from last year, his win percentage was a .375. His WAR was a 0. His ERA was 3.44. His WHIP was 1.5, and he pitched 99.1 innings with 96 Ks and walked 16 batters. This year, huge jump from all those stats. His win percentage this time bumped up to .550. Amazing. His WAR this time was 3.4. His ERA went down to 3.32. His WHIP was 1.24. His innings pitched was 181.2. Huge jump. He had 153 strikeouts and walked 44 batters. And like Dalt said, he also had a couple complete games, a couple shutout complete games. So he's been a huge key piece to this Phillies team this year. And it will show in the postseason for sure because he'll be dominant. But I'm going to have to give this award to Mr. Christopher Sanchez.
Okay. Brady, what about you?
I'm going to have to go with Christopher Sanchez. I mean, this man deserves the most improved award. He has really impressed me. He was really impressed me with his overall pitching this season. Turns out that he is the number 2 best overall option to Zach Wheeler in the postseason. Believe it or not, Christopher Sanchez is a great story, and the fact that Rob Thompson it has the guts to put him in before Nola in the pitching rotation shows you how much guts Rob Thompson is in trusting in his guys. And I'll say for one thing, him starting game 2 behind Wheeler at home is a very good idea. Very good idea, and I hope Sanchez keeps rolling along. And another thing too, his willingness to learn is off the charts. He just knows how to get better, especially in key situations. And this man, Christopher Sanchez, this man is worth every single penny. For the Phillies, I meant to say, he's worth every single penny. Every nickel, every dime, every quarter, every half, 50 cents, dollar bills, $5 bills, whatever. Christopher Sanchez is worth everything that you can ask for the Phillies, and he's just one of a kind. And I wish there could just be. I wish if Kenny Pickett, if you're watching this live, I wish you can make your money worth it like Christopher Sanchez. So I'm just saying.
Also to add, Sanchez got extended for a reason this season. So just going to add that. So.
And I still find it funny that he got one before Suarez did. I still find that very odd.
Yeah, that speaks values, man. That says a lot.
Right.
Also, Fratty, Please stop bringing up Kenny Pickett's name. I'm already having a rough time with the Birds as it is. I don't need to talk about the man of baby hands, okay? I don't need to be dealing. Look, I just want to point out I have a new goddaughter. She's about 2 months old. Her hands are already bigger than Kenny Pickett's, okay? I don't need to deal with it right now.
Yeah, so we're going to do one more topic. We had two. The last one was up and coming, but I think we're going to skip that one. Up and coming from AAA. There's just been so many guys from AAA that kind of have been called up, and I feel like a lot of them have just kind of been busts. So we're going to skip that one. But the last one we're going to talk about, Mr. Clutch. And I think this is a good one because I think there's a lot of people that really are clutch this season. I think that came in clutch that, won games for us when they were needed. And for me personally, he had the most of these this season. I think it's Nick Castellanos. I think for me personally, he's Mr. Clutch. Seemed like every time we were down and out, every time we needed to win the game, he walked it off. He walked it off. And I think to me, he's Mr. Clutch. I think, anytime that we need to rely on him lately, he's coming through, hitting balls where they need to be hit, doing the short ball. I think for me, it's Nick Castellanos.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'll take the reins for the next one. So I was thinking about Castellanos. I mean, Nick's been 100% as clutch as you can get. 162 games. Tremendous second half when helped carry in the lineup when, JT was out with his knee. Bryce has been battling elbow issues throughout the second half of the season. Hasn't had his best at-bats throughout the second half, and Costy's been amazing. But for the totality of the season, give me the giraffe himself. Give me Alec Bohm. Because if you think back to last year, right? The Phillies' revolving door last year in their lineup was who bats behind Bryce Harper? Who is his protection? Because if there's not someone behind Bryce Harper that is feared by a major league pitcher, they're going to pitch around Bryce Harper and he's never going to get pitched to hit. That's a big reason, minus the fact that in the NLCS, every single hitter in this lineup went as cold as a freaking gallon of ice cream. They needed someone behind Bryce Harper in the postseason last year. They went with Alec Bohm. And Alec Bohm didn't really hit cleanup last year until the postseason. Me personally didn't like the decision because he wasn't put in that position. And you saw last year, Bomer last year was swinging at every pitch outside of the zone you could think of. They were pitching around Bryce, getting the Bomer, and Bomer last year, it was either a ground ball double play or he was swinging at stuff that was completely out of the strike zone. This year, he has now changed his approach, changed his batting stance a little bit. He's got more of a leg stride instead of a leg kick. So instead of just kicking up, he's striding forward, moving towards the baseball, driving it to both fields, driving it to left field, driving it to right field, driving in 97 runs behind Bryce Harper. That's pretty it is impressive to have 97 RBIs as a cleanup hitter when your number 3 hitter had 87 and your leadoff hitter, which by the way is the best leadoff hitter in baseball, I might add, had 104. And we had Bomer driving 97 when those guys are taking up a lot of the RBIs in front of him. And that's what's going to sustain this team for postseason success. If I get the Alec Bohm I got this year in the postseason, we may be partying down the broad because Alec Bohm is as important to this lineup as is Bryce Harper. Because if Bryce Harper doesn't have any pitches to hit, he's going to be on first base with walks all the time. But if Bomer is feared behind him, he will provide that protection that Bryce Harper needed last year, and he has been that protection all year. So I'm going to go with Mr. Alec Bohm. Oh, and by the way, he's also been immensely improved defensively at third base to where I think he could be a possible Gold Glove winner there.
Okay. Who wants to take it next? Go ahead, Freddie.
Mr. Clutch this year has to go to Mr. Hoagie Man himself. Kyle Schwarber is Mr. Clutch this year. Tell you why. He led the team in home runs with 38 home runs. He had 3-homer games. One of them in which was after KJ and Dalton left LA, and another was in Canada. Yeah, I think it was in Canada. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
it
It
was
was in
against the Blue
Toronto.
Jays.
Yeah, it was in Canada. So, think about it. This man, Kyle Schwarber, is so clutch. He is a man that goes out there and hits ball. He probably dreams of hitting baseballs to outer space at different different key points of the game, including he a lot of leadoff home runs this year because he's a leadoff guy. He also had 104 RBIs. And how can you not love this man? He truly gets, he really gets us fans. He really gets it. He's a good community guy overall. He continues to be a good community guy with the Schwarber's Heroes that I've seen on TV and I've seen online. He's just one of the better. He's one of the good community guys on our team. Many good community guys, but he's one of the good ones. And he just gets the fans. He just gets us, and he he has the most smoothest swing and most beautiful type of swing up there with guys like Bryce Harper, who we haven't mentioned Bryce Harper much on the show tonight, believe it or not. He has one of the best smooth swings on the team. Up there with Bryce Harper. And Bryce Harper probably would have not even maybe it would have been my second or third or fourth choice maybe, but I think I would even put Bohm ahead of Harper this year. But overall, Kyle Schwarberian, and knock on wood, you're going to see you might see one or two Schwarber home runs the next two nights at CBP, and I will be there to witness Schwarbers this weekend. So it's going to be very exciting to see. So I cannot wait to see some Schwarbombs hopefully this weekend and in New York, and if we need a game 5. So yeah.
Okay. Adult.
Yeah, I love it, Fratty. Bombs away. And I'll be really quick because my food's going to be here in a second. And honestly, this might be my last take. If you guys want to keep going, by all means, feel free. But I'm going to try to scarf it down as quick as I can and come back if you guys are still alive. If not, no worries. But I wanted to say Kyle Schwarber. I wanted to say Trey Turner. I wanted to say Harper. But then I was thinking about it as everybody was talking. And you guys know what I thought about? And this could just be Dalton's amateur perspective. Who got the most Gatorade showers? Who had the cooler thrown the most on them? You know what I mean? Because that's such a clutch moment and a team moment. And I really think Castellanos this year, when you look at the leap, especially from last year to this year, of how many times the cooler was thrown on him, Castellanos, I feel like, is so comfortable right now and in a groove for the Phillies in his role. He knows what he has to do. He knows when he has to hit. Unfortunately, the world is a bad place, so Castellanos keeps going with tragedies and hits and home runs. But in all seriousness, point being, this guy just plays good baseball. And I think I heard him say a quote a couple weeks ago, and he's like, I hit baseballs. That's how I provide for my family. It's such a Casty thing to say. But from the locker room perspective, from the team perspective, from the performance perspective, Nick Castellanos has been pretty much everything that the Phillies signed him to be this year and then some. So I've been really happy with the way it's worked out for him.
Okay. I think we all went, right? We all talked.
No.
Wait, yeah,
Dude, it's been a long day. It's been a long week.
All good, all good.
So my candidate here for Mr. Clutch, I'm gonna have to go with Nick Castellanos. Like a bunch of y'all said, it's not just because he's funny with interviews with reporters or his sense of humor. It's because of one, he played every single game. That is a huge accomplishment for any player in MLB, NHL, NBA. If you play every single game, that's a huge accomplishment. And if you look at it, like you said, Shard, he had a bunch of the walk-off wins, which were big. And like Dalt said, the Gatorade showers. So just those little things that a lot of people don't think about, that's why I think that he deserves Mr. Clutch. And if you look at his stats, yeah, he had, a 254 average, 86 RBIs, but he played every single game. And one of the stats I saw, which surprised me, is that he had 154 runs. That's a lot for a player. Having 154 runs is a lot. So not only does he get on base or hits home runs or anything like that, he has shown over time that he's clutch. If you put him in a situation, he will succeed. And like his saying, see ball, hit ball, and he does that every time he comes to the plate.
I agree with you. Like I said, I think that, I think it's Nick Castellanos, me personally, but I also agree with all your takes too. For me personally, and for a couple other people, I think, Dalton, Gavin, I think it's Nick Castellanos. I think he is the most clutch personally, but that's all for our, awards. But, last thing I want to get into before we kind of call it wraps and we end, looking at the matchups for this first game tomorrow. Something that caught us off guard, and I'm trying to pull it up, but my computer wants to be slow. Something that caught me off guard was who they announced for the Mets starter tomorrow. They announced Sengai, hasn't pitched since mid-July. Only pitched, I believe, one game this year. Only went, like an inning or two? Or a couple innings?
5 2/3.
5 2/3. I know he pitched against the Phillies. I know that. And he, knock on wood, he did pretty decently against us. But he's 1-0 on the season, 3.38 ERA, 9 strikeouts, going against Zach Wheeler, who's 16-7 on the season, 2.57 ERA, 224 strikeouts. Zach Wheeler is a different animal in Red October. He feeds off the crowd. And I know Sengay, however you say his name, Sengay. I don't mean that as a diss. I don't know how to pronounce his name, and I don't mean offense by that. I don't know if he's ready or realizes what he's getting himself into. Because I know he made the comment, which I'm sure the Phillies heard. And it's kind of that attaboy situation last year with Arcia. But, Senga got asked, he was like, who's the one rotation that you want to face? And he was like, the Phillies. And me personally, if I'm Bryce Harper, if I'm Kyle Schwarber, if I'm Trey Turner, so on and so forth, I look at that and I'm like, all right, you want us? We're going to make it a living hell. That, me personally, that's how I would take it. So, he hasn't ever pitched in Red October. This is the first time we've ever had a Mets playoff series. Hasn't ever pitched in Red October. Hasn't ever pitched in the postseason. And he's coming off an injury. He hasn't pitched in a couple months. And like I was telling you guys before the show started, I know, it was more so a calf strain, a calf injury. It didn't really hurt his arm. But even with a calf injury, you got to be careful with that. Because, if you overstrain that on your pitches, on your extension, when you're going down the mound and stretching your leg out, who knows? Who knows? It can mess up your entire velocity. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen tomorrow with that.
Yeah, I agree. And especially the backlash with the whole Wheeler situation with the Mets. Did you see the thing that came out today that like the owner of the Mets in like 2015 said to Wheeler that he had to buy his own postseason tickets because he was injured and stuff? So Wheeler, Wheeler said he is always going to remember that. So that's definitely adding to the fire. But yeah, Senga, hasn't pitched since July. a little risky for the Mets to do this, but it should turn out in our favor because I think we will light him up. And Harper went second deck today, so it seems like his power is coming back. So I think we'll be good. I think we'll light him up, and I think Wheeler already has fuel from his history with the Mets.
Yeah, I think he's gonna feud. I think I had something to say, and I can't even think about it now. I think it's gonna be an interesting series. I really do. Sam, James, do you guys have anything you wanted to add about the whole pitching matchup?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, how I look at the whole thing with Senga is the Mets have played 5 games in 4 days. This is their first day off. They had a doubleheader against the Braves, and they had 3 games in Milwaukee. Their pitching is depleted. Manaea is not going to be ready until the series goes back to New York. Severino will probably pitch game 2, they said. They were going to start McGill in game 1. Senga is literally the only guy they have that could pitch in this game, which is crazy that he's being activated for this game because no one really thought he would be. So that kind of gives me that maybe they're rushing him back a little because their pitching is that depleted. However, I've seen this too many times in the past. An unexpected opponent pitcher comes out of nowhere, and the Phillies struggle. So this will turn out one of 2 ways for the Mets. This will either be a stroke of genius, or it's going to be a huge disaster. So having Zach Wheeler for this game is big because Senga may surprise the Phillies. Phillies may not be ready and prepared for that. I'm sure a small part of them probably thought, well, there's a chance they could activate Senga for game 1. We'll be ready. But the Mets kind of tried to throw a loophole. They were like, oh, no, McGill's starting game 1. It's going to be McGill. And then today, it's going to be Senga. So hopefully, I think they were trying to play the mind game trick there with the Phillies. However, this is not no June, July, August game at Citizens Bank Park. This is Red October. The Red Sea will be parted tomorrow. The Senga better be ready, and the Mets better be ready. Because all I'll keep saying is that I think the Mets are going to make this a very competitive series. We are not the Milwaukee Brewers. We actually have star players. Can you honestly name? Just give me. I want you all to see if you can answer this. Can you name a position player on the Brewers right now that you would take over any of the Phillies?
It's a great question. Like, are you saying like in general or just from the season?
Like right now, if you put the Brewers starting 9 out there in the Phillies, do you think the Brewers have any real advantage over the Phillies?
Maybe.
Are you going to say Contreras started? Because of the season? I mean, I would still take JT because it's JT.
I mean,
I'm taking JT.
I feel like William Contreras is great. I was personally going to say, I feel like
obviously.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like Reese might be slightly better in some aspects, but then like in other aspects he sucked. Like, what did he do really this series against the Mets? He didn't really do jack, and he was known when he was with the Phillies as the Met killer. So, like,
not only that, he had 214 the entire season.
Right. So, I mean, no, I probably wouldn't take anybody over.
I wouldn't either.
And also, can we just point out something? The Brewers are the Cinderella team's favorite because every year they lose to them. Diamondbacks last year, Mets this year. The Brewers are the magnet for the Cinderella team. The Brewers are not battle tested like the Phillies are. This Phillies team in the past 2 years has gotten to the World Series and the NLCS. The Brewers can't get out of the wild card series. This is a completely different animal. Like I said, I think the Mets will make this a competitive series. They're not going to go away easy, especially when we get up to New York. I still think the Phillies win this series, but I think the Mets will make it competitive. But this right here is a mind game move by the Mets. They wanted to think it was McGill leading up to tomorrow, and now it's Senga. They're trying to throw in a loophole late. I think this team will be ready for it.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be very competitive. I think it's going to go 5 games. I think it's going to go to full 5 games. I really do.
You're going to make me sit through this again?
I think it's going to go the full 5 games. And, I saw a statistic earlier that any team that beats the Brewers in the postseason ends up going all the way.
I saw that too.
So
yeah,
I don't
a real
know.
stat.
I don't know. Like that's kind of what makes me nervous. Like if that's a whole like MLB gimmick, I'm gonna knock on wood for that. I do think though, it'll go to 5. I think, I could see it being one of 2 things. I could see it, we win game 1, we lose game 2, we take 1 in New York, and then we win game 5. I could see us winning the first 2 games and then struggling in New York. I could see us winning the first 2 games, lose game 3, win game 4 somehow. I mean, I know Rangers pitching game 4. I could see us winning game 1, losing game 2, winning game 3, winning game, win, lose, win, lose, win. I could see this being any combination of things. And I know people are saying, oh, it's going to be Phillies in 3. Oh, it's going to be Phillies in 4. Everybody that I've talked to, like Phillies friends that I have, we've all said the same thing. Phillies in 5. So,
Yeah.
I'm nervous. I really am. I really wanted the Brewers. And I mean, I'm going to put it this way. If you really are one of the best teams in baseball, because I mean, we can't really call ourselves the best team anymore, which we can't from a record standpoint, but from everything else, I mean, I still think we're the best team in baseball, even if the record doesn't say that. If we are one of the best teams in baseball, it shouldn't matter who we play. Put anybody in front of us, we should be able to beat them. So, I'm nervous. I think everybody else is nervous, but I think we take it out. I think they've learned from last year with the Diamondbacks. They've learned from the World Series. 3rd time's a charm. They're gonna get it done, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
and there's anything else?
And then go sign Juan Soto.
Do you guys have anything else you want to add? Because if not, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the show.
Yeah. What's the name? My thoughts on tomorrow's matchup between Senga and Wheeler. One thing I'll have to say is Senga does not know what Red October is like. He there's going to be a bunch of fans screaming in that man's ear tomorrow. It's not even going to be funny. Whatever his first name is, Kontan, whatever. Yeah, Senga. He's going to be so frustrated tomorrow that I think that he might need to call Ghostbusters because it's going to be so bad for him to even hear tomorrow. It could get ugly for that man. I think, in my opinion, it's going to get ugly for the Mets tomorrow. Frank the Tank, if you're watching this video, Frank the Tank, I think you should just forget about the Mets winning in game 1 because I just think the Phillies are coming off that fresh energy, that fresh vibe from this week. So I think you should just forget about it because we had the better pitcher than the Senga guy. Whoever that Senga, whoever. Senga is just another pitcher, and he hasn't really played much. And just to put him out there, he hasn't even pitched since like late June. I think it was late June, late July. He hasn't pitched since. And it's been that long. It's been like since the summertime. 1 start. He's only appeared in 1 game. And you mean to put him out there in the postseason, in an electric environment, in front of 45,000 plus fans, no matter if they're Phillies or Mets. So hopefully it's mostly Phillies, which it probably will be. And hopefully this man gets this we get to this man. And I'll tell you one thing. As I sit here at 9:13 at night in my bedroom, I think of when I go to sleep in the next 3-something hours, I'll say this. I will wake up tomorrow morning like it's Christmas, like a kid on Christmas morning, knowing that it's Red October. It's gonna be like I woke up have from a good dream, which dreams are common when you fall asleep. It's gonna be like waking up from a good dream tomorrow. Once I wake up out of bed, it's going to be great knowing that it's Red October. That I will be with 45,000 of my bestest friends on the planet Earth, including Sam Nelson. It's gonna be great tomorrow. I cannot wait. I'll be there at 11:30. I love the start time for tomorrow, 4:08 p.m. Means that we don't have to really hold our breath so late at night. Overall, we don't have to hold our breath till like 11 o'clock at night. So hopefully, knock on wood, it'll end around 7ish, and hopefully we'll end both games this weekend with a win. But it's going to be very, very great, and bring it on tomorrow. Tomorrow when I wake up, it will be Red October Day finally.
Yeah, I agree. But we're gonna end it here. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Go Phillies! Red October starts tomorrow, and like when the Braves came into the CBP, and we were all yelling at Strider, saying Strider. I think if anybody's watching this that goes to the game tomorrow, Singa. So, if you're going to the game tomorrow, have fun. Bring the energy. Get me a rally towel. I need a rally towel. I need to start a collection of rally towels. But I'm holding my mic because my tripod gave out. But that's really all we have for you guys tonight. So we appreciate you tuning in. Post-season coverage starts tomorrow. I know we've been off for the last week. I mean, they've had a bye week, so what can we really do? We figured we'd do a show tonight, a little bit of a longer show. So if you've watched the whole time, we appreciate you. We wanted to do something fun. We wanted to talk about the season and recap the season before the postseason starts. So appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with postseason breakdown. And let's go Phillies. Let's hope for a win. Red October. Ring that bell. And let's fucking go Phillies. Good night, everybody.
The Vikings!
Swing and a drive, left field. It's gone! And it's gone! It is Bedlam at the bank!
The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball!
Podcast
right here. You already know. Go fucking subscribe. Go follow.